Becky and Nathan Bliss, they're celebrating their 16th wedding anniversary today. I said, you can't take it off. Then they begged. I said, yes. Carmen is here, so we're in good hands. So thank you for being here. At one point in my life, and I got over it, I watched at least 2 episodes of Seinfeld every night. I did. Jane, we did like it when we were in New York, right? It was more than 2. I mean, it was almost an illness. So we watched 2 episodes a night, and over the course of the years, we saw all of them many times. And one of the most memorable episodes was the strike. And it happens to be and has nothing to do with what we're talking about this evening. That is the night when you learn about Festivus. Okay, I don't know what you Midwesterners know about Seinfeld. Okay, yes, okay. I thought it's my New York obsession. So in any way, so that's the night of Festivus and all that, but that's not what I want to talk about. But part of this was that Jerry, who was a serial dater, he just dated everybody, Jerry dates Gwen, and who's a woman who looks attractive sometimes and ugly at other times. I mean, that's the whole show. So Jerry met her at Tim Whatley's Hanukkah party. Tim Whatley was his dentist, but he also was a convert to Judaism. I mean, this is, only Larry David can come up with this stuff. So to consistently be on her good side, Jerry insisted on every date being at Monk's Deli, always in the same booth, because that's when the light was best and she looked pretty as opposed to other places. Okay, you got that. Okay, so that's the setup for this evening. Now, it's silly, but it's very insightful. You know, life is about vantage points, perspectives. Our vantage point matters. And I think about this this evening because this is the second Torah portion of the year. And the second portion of the year is the story of Noah, the story of Noah. And it's a remarkable story, but it means different things depending on what your perspective is. I mean, I started going through the different ways that I can interpret this and speak to you about it, and went over all the years that I've spoken about it, and here are different vantage points. One perspective is it's a story about sin. The world is filled with Hamas, literally, that's the word, lawlessness, and the earth became corrupted before God. So what is a sin? The Torah doesn't tell us. There's all kinds of speculation in Jewish tradition, but nothing stated in the Torah what the actual sin was. Nevertheless, God, who cannot accept that the first generation on earth was so corrupted, destroys creation. Another perspective. What kind of guy was Noah? We are told Noah was a righteous man. He was blameless, b'dorotav, in his generation. There's a debate between 2 rabbis. Rabbi Yochanan sees Noah as righteous only relatively, in contrast to wicked people around him. In other words, in a more respectable age, he would have been no better than the average person, but in a terrible age, he appeared to be good. Reish Lakish, on the other hand, says that anyone who had a moral backbone to be a good person in an immoral society would have been an even better person in a generation that encourages goodness. So Reish Lakish sees him as really an incredibly wonderful man. Or is it a story about moral responsibility? Why does Noah not warn people of what's coming? Why doesn't he try to convince them that they should repent? And this is something I found out this week. I was studying the Quran's reading of Noah. And in the Quran, Noah does speak and try to convince people that they should repent. Isn't that interesting? That's fascinating. I wish I knew more about the Quran. That's about my limited knowledge of it. So why is he so passive? Why does he do nothing in protest like Abraham did at Sodom and Gomorrah and told God, you can't destroy the city if I can find a certain number of people that are good in it? Abraham was trying to do something to change reality. Noah says, okay, I'll just build the ark. Or maybe this is a story about animals. He brought all of the animals into the ark as God had called upon him, and tradition has it that Noah and his family took care of them. The Talmud insists that Noah and his family for 40 days and nights attended the wild beast and another animal, bringing them food and calming their anxiety. It is Noah at his selfless, devoted, tireless self, everywhere looking out for every creature. Okay, those are the various. What is our perspective for this year? For me, it is Noah the survivor. Elie Wiesel wrote a wonderful book containing his reflections on various biblical and rabbinic figures. And he said this about Noah. He says, Noah the survivor. Imagine what he must have felt as he walked ashore and discovered the empty, devastated land. He must have looked for familiar ground, vantage points, cities of light and life, dwelling places and their sounds. He knew that they had vanished, still he went on looking for them. And then he was confronted by a choice, anger or gratitude. He chose gratitude. He offered thanks to heaven, and as a survivor, the first, he chose gratitude rather than bitterness, the special gratitude of the survivor. He or she knows that every moment means grace, for he or she could have been in another's place, another who is gone. Now, Noah is a survivor. The model of a person who confronts the worst in life, but decides to give life a second chance. He is optimistic, positive, hopeful. The survivor rejects victimhood. Suffering is universal, but victimhood is optional. Instead of asking, why me, the survivor says, what now? Now, we Jews are survivors. Our greatness is the fact that we have continued facing the worst in history. You know, the Babylonian exile, the temple was destroyed, Jews were taken to Babylonia. Several centuries later, they survived, they go back to the land of Israel. Temple is destroyed in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago by the Romans. The Jews are spread all over the world. They should have been lost, but they weren't. We know the horrors of the Crusades and the Inquisition. The Black Death, Jews were blamed for the Black Death. They had poisoned the wells. The waves of anti-Semitism, the pogroms, the Great Depression, the Holocaust, the War of Independence. Israel was declared for a couple of hours, then 1948, and people wanted to destroy it. The 67 war, the terrorism, even in our own country, and now what is faced in Israel. Somehow at this moment in our history, we are reliving that moment of leaving the ark and having to figure out what is life now like. Something earth-shattering has happened, and in the aftermath of Hamas's slaughter of our people, we're all survivors. We need to readjust, and it's not pleasant to have to do so. We can no longer live under certain delusions that, for example, Israel is invincible. The army isn't, the Air Force isn't, Mossad and Shabak aren't. Israel could be destroyed. Let's talk to Israelis living there now. I mean, it's interesting. My daughter Leora's husband, Omer, some of you have met him, his mother, who is a really amazing lady on so many different levels, she's really afraid. I mean, she's not afraid of anything. You would not want to meet and have to tangle with her. I mean, she's a tough lady. She's scared for the existence of the state of Israel. And to hear that she is, shakes me up. When Naamid is concerned, you know it's time to be worried. We no longer can believe that we can protect our young. Our young are not safe, even at concerts. We can't even trust the government. Israel don't trust their government anymore, and I don't think many of us fully trust our United States government fully. Yet we remain survivors. We have no choice. And after 41 years of being a rabbi, the Jewish people never cease to surprise me. Positively. They have tenacity. They have this sacred chutzpah. We believe in the future even when we are not sure what exactly it looks like. We are Noah. We leave the ark scared, but we have no intention of going back into the ark and hiding. We are fully engaged in life. Friends, I'm not an optimist by nature. I'm not. I don't think that in the end all things work out. I mean, that's not my personality. But I have no doubt that whatever flood that has engulfed us, we will make it through. Every story coming forth from the past 2 weeks in Israel shows me that we have this incredible capacity to live, to embrace life, and it is miraculous. And I'm going to tell you a story that you haven't heard. And it is an incredible story, and at the same time it's a funny story, at the same time it's a horrible story. Okay? Israeli newspapers, I don't think it's been covered here. At 7 a.m. on Saturday, October 7th, an air raid siren blared in Ofakim, a town in the southern part of Israel, about 10 miles from the Gaza Strip. And Rachel and David Edry made their way to the bomb shelter. After the all clear, they returned to their house. Things were about to get worse. I saw 5 Rottweilers breaking through my windows, Rachel Edry told Israel's Channel 13, describing the moment Hamas terrorists infiltrated her home on Simchat Torah, one of the many across southern Israel that morning. They had grenades, Kalashnikovs, and whatnot. They said, we are martyrs, they yelled. Rachel, a mother and grandmother, was terrified but remained level-headed. Israel police soon arrived, her son among them, and began negotiations. Just after she managed to signal with her hand that there were 5 of them in, the terrorists forced her upstairs. Now it gets surreal. Rachel, trying to keep the terrorists calm, played host. As she later admitted in an interview, I told myself I have guests. She said to the terrorists as they had held a grenade to her head, "Did you eat? Would you like coffee or tea? I'll make it for you." This is completely true. I mean, she met President Biden when President Biden was there. Rachel later told the news that she knew that if they are hungry, they are angry, and so made them chicken and offered them cookies. There's never been a story in Jewish history like this. These were cookies made in a cookie press, Moroccan cookies that I made for Yom Kippur to eat with a cup of tea. They really liked them a lot. At first, they asked me to taste them to make sure there was no poison in them. But after they drank and ate, they became much calmer. I asked them how old they were, and one of them said 40 years old, and the rest were 25 to 30 years old. And there was one who was really bad, a devil. He kept saying he was a martyr. But with the others, I started having conversations, and at one point I even forgot for a moment that they were terrorists. I fed them, I chatted with them, How old are you? Where are you from? At one point, as the couple waited patiently to be rescued, they sang Israeli songs with their hostage takers. I mean, I can't figure out what that was about. One of the terrorists was hurt, and Rachel even bandaged his wounds, sitting with him and stroking his hand. I was trying to distract them so they wouldn't kill us. I also did not want them to get hungry and irritated. And as the standoff wore on, she did what she could to maintain calm in her home, encouraging one of the men to take a nap because she told him he looked tired. You couldn't believe this story, but it's true. She's a hero in Israel now. I want you to know that. Rachel acknowledged that throughout the ordeal, she did not always expect to come out alive. We said, Shema Yisrael. I thought, there's no way we're going to survive this. The couple's two sons are police officers, a fact that Rachel did her best to hide from the terrorist. And one sketched a layout of her home for the special forces that arrived to rescue them. Some 20 hours later, close to 2 a.m., Israeli special forces dropped through the ceiling of the shower and shot the terrorists dead. They were right next to us. It's a miracle they managed to kill them and get us out, Rachel said. They are lions, our heroes. And within hours, Rachel became a national sensation, the subject of all kinds of internet posts, obviously, and a guest on daytime TV shows. And she met President Biden. But her grit and level-headedness was lauded by her nation. It was like the good news that everyone needed to hear in this crazy, horrible situation. And her cookie recipe is now famous, and everyone in Israel is baking her cookies. I have it. 2 eggs, 1 cup of sugar. I'm not kidding. 1/2 cup of oil, 2 cups plus 2 tablespoons of flour, 1/2 tablespoon of baking soda, 3/4 cup of chocolate chips. Preheat the oven for 350 degrees. Beat the eggs and sugar together. Add the rest. I'm going to read the recipe. Add the rest of the ingredients and mix until sticky dough is formed. Make balls the size of a ping pong ball and place it on a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. Bake for 14 minutes. The cookies will come out soft, and the people are making these cookies everywhere in Israel. You don't see this on CNN. That's why you come to the New Reform Temple. You can't make this stuff up. But this is what it means to be a survivor. Look the devil in the face and eat cookies with him. Of course, this is some rare good thing from the most horrible, horrendous day in the last 100 years of Jewish history. But friends, this is a story of the strength of our people. We should not fight it. We need to embrace it. This has always been our strength. I do not know from where it comes, but on this Shabbat, let us celebrate the Rachels of our people. Let us search for our inner Rachel. The challenges of life often seem insurmountable. But this spirit, this Jewish spirit, will determine for us what the future will bring. And I believe we must all choose to be survivors. Shabbat Shalom.